Welcome back to DBL. We are wrapping up 90s Week with one of the decade's most beloved actors. He's responsible for bringing the genius Steve Urkel to life on one of the most popular and longest-running sitcoms of its time, Family Matters. Now he runs a cannabis and lifestyle brand that pays homage to this iconic character. And as you can imagine, it is a smash success. Please welcome Jaleel White to DBL.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's up?
What's up?
How you feeling, man?
How you doing, man?
All right.
How you doing? I'm doing great, man. It was a little dark in here earlier, the subjects that you guys were covering, but it got light when we started talking about fighting animals. I appreciated that.
Could you take on a bear, Jaleel? Just curious.
No, I think bears, elephants, stuff like that, most black folks are going to head the opposite direction. But a goose? Hey, listen, you don't want to see what's going to happen with me and a goose, man. It's going to be ugly for that goose.
Jaleel, you belong on this panel. Yes, you do. So we hear a lot from people who worked on set that no one understands the immense work it took to bring Steve Urkel to life. Can you paint a clearer picture of the effort that was put into a single episode?
Well, I mean, look, I'm not going to act like we were, curing diseases or anything, but we were, they were 4-day work weeks, and it was probably tougher for the kids because we always had school. So I don't think people realize that we always arrived to the set probably about 3 hours earlier than everybody so that we could start with school. And we always had tests to study for at the end of a long day when it came to shoots. But as far as the character itself, I just did a lot of physical things that I did to maintain, like, pretty much at the end of every last episode, my barber would be right on set, standing in the wings to give me an updated hairstyle, because I would wear that box top fade on purpose because I wanted that to be the character. So from staying out of the gym when I was in high school, which is what all the fellas were doing. They were pumping iron, they were getting stronger. I'm like, dude, if I start looking like my dad, I'm not gonna make no money next year. This is crazy. So there's a lot of things that I did personally to maintain the integrity of the character that unfortunately at times would kind of retard my own personal growth.
Well, you know what, man, I actually, me, you, Bert Kreischer, my buddy Dave Williamson did a podcast in El Segundo about 3 or 4 years ago. And I remember talking to you.
Yes.
Yeah, man, it's good to see you again, man.
I remember that.
Dude, I remember you speaking so just honestly about how the cast at Family Matters treated you. And I thought they'd be cool with you, but they did not give you a warm welcome when you joined the show. Like, what was that? Like, what do you think that was that caused that?
You know, only because we have to deal with internet clickbait. You know, I always it's anytime I harp on that, that's all people want to take away. No, I was not welcome in the beginning, and I do not mince words when it comes to that. I definitely give the kids who are like my brothers and sisters now a pass, because a lot of their feelings that were projected towards me were really just a reflection of things they were hearing by adults. So ultimately, though, by the time we reached season 3 and 4, we really became a very close-knit family. The Kobe and Shaq had their problems, we had our problems, but I really like to make sure the narrative always gets out there that they grew and I grew and we grew together.
Ah, that's beautiful.
Speaking of co-stars, Jaleel, we just shot The Great Inheritance together. Do you remember that?
I was wondering if you were going to play it cool. I'm like, hey, man, you were my first Kobe job.
It was a great time. I had a great time working with you. And, no, I wanted to make it like a little surprise here. But you also talked to me about Family Matters, all the behind-the-scenes stuff at lunch one day. I thought it was fascinating. But do you yourself, like when people come up to you in the streets and they're like, hey, it's Urkel, does that bother you at all? Because we had, I forget, Chris, who played McLovin, and he goes, it's such a relief, this COVID thing, because nobody calls me McLovin right now.
Yeah, because he had to wear the mask. When you wear the mask, people didn't recognize you. Like, so we were standing. I mean, listen, when quarantine really jumped off and we were really wearing masks, discipline, I was doing all types of normal stuff, man. I was standing in long lines on my dial for Krispy Kreme, and I was having a blast. But for me, it's tone. I can, over the years, you come to hear someone's tone. And, if you're at a bar and there's 3 guys in the corner that are having a tough time attracting some female attention, and they want to say, hey, it's Urkel, that's coming from a different place. If it's a grandmother that's 60, 70 years old and she just wants to pinch my cheeks and she says, oh, it's Urkel, that's coming from a different place. And even now, with my new brand, ItsPurpl, you know, if people say, hey, it's Urkel, I had some of that last night, they talk about something else.
Yes. Oh my God. So I know we're having a lot of fun, but we also, as you learned from our show, we do take some hard turns. We also like to address some serious matters here. You made news by addressing your relationship with Bill Cosby for the first time since his sentencing. You said he's paying the appropriate price. Why wait until now to finally speak out about this?
I don't think I spoke out about anything. When you do a 2-hour interview, you talk about a lot of things. And once again, you know, it was kind of, that was something that, you know, clickbait journalists just kind of chose to highlight. I don't have a dog in the fight at all when it comes to Mr. Cosby. I will say that when I was young, he was a mentor to me, and he had a very big impact on my representation at a particular point in my life. So it's tough for people like myself, like Raven Simone, or the children who grew up on that show who are now full-grown adults, Keisha, Malcolm, and even myself, who had, you know, our childhoods were affected by this man, that, you know, cancel culture says you will not talk about him, you will not address him, you will not even discuss the impact that he had on your life. That's not fair to us at all. That's not fair to the legacies that we have. And so I always just like to put it in a proper context. When I talk about Mr. Cosby, I am not condoning his actions at all, but there are other stories to be told about how Mr. Cosby affected a lot of people's lives.
All right, well, Jaleel, I'd like to talk about ItsPurpl.
Yeah.
Okay, can we talk about that?
Hey.
Yes. All right, let's get to the good stuff. Now, we heard that there's a funny story behind the inspiration for your company. Can you tell us about that real quick?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, so first of all, I always like to get it out there that my company's name is ItsPurpl. It's not the Purple Urkel company or anything like that. But for pretty much 15 years or even longer, there was a strain of cannabis that was named after my character's name. And other makers of accessories would take my likeness directly from the show and just put it on rolling trays and trucker hats and T-shirts. And so I would have friends and family that would send me screenshots of this stuff nationwide in dispensaries everywhere. You know, always, you know, hey, you getting any money off of this? And this, and I was like, look, man, that's on the other side of the fence. I can't touch that at all. Now, listen, you get to be about 30 years old, you're on ski trips in Aspen with your boys, you know, you're going to partake. But the two were separate, you know, and then as things started to become more and more legal here in California in particular, it just became obvious that it was like, hey, if I don't do anything about this, those guys are going to start selling a lot more rolling trays. So I had the really good fortune.
I was going to say, you took advantage of it.
Hooked up with this company, though.
We've run out of time.
He took his image back. I love
know.
that. He took his image back. Well done, sir.
We appreciate you, and to our viewers out there, you can learn more by heading to itspurpl.com or find them on Instagram. Jaleel, thank you so much for joining us.
Jaleel, we're going to get you back when the movie comes out.
Yes, we are.
100%.